Hi guys, this is a lesson on writing today, and if you turn your mini lab sheet over to the back, you'll see that this picture, the writing process tower, is there on the back of your sheet. There are a couple different kinds of writing. One is a descriptive type of writing where you describe something that's going on. Another type of writing is persuasive, where you try to persuade the readers about your point of view. And a third kind of writing might be technical writing, the kind you might find in an instructional manual, or the kind you might use when you're writing a laboratory report. The focus of this assignment is on persuasive writing, and your goal in this assignment is to persuade the reader, namely your other classmates and myself, that one of the objects you've just observed is indeed alive. So that's going to be the topic of our paragraph for this assignment. So I'm going to write in my topic box here, is it alive? For the purpose of this assignment and this demonstration, I thought I might pick an object that I think is alive and use that as an example. So I'm going to consider the oak tree outside of my window here at the office. So oak trees are alive is going to be my topic. Okay? And so I write that in my topic box here at the top of the tower. Now that word tower is an acronym. Each of the letters stands for another idea. And so if you look down at the bottom of the sheet, you'll see that there's ideas are listed there. Think, order, write, error monitor, and rewrite. Today we're going to focus on the first three, thinking, ordering, and writing. Tonight for homework you will write your paragraph. On Monday you will bring in your assignment and your classmates will help you error monitor your written paragraph. On Monday you'll take your paragraph home and rewrite it and turn in a final copy for a grade on Tuesday morning. And so we'll follow this process through the steps. So let's start with the think part of the process. Thinking is just what it sounds like. You're going to think about how you are going to defend your topic. How are you going to convince a reader that oak trees are alive? What evidence will you use? When that comes to mind, if I'm trying to convince someone that something is alive, the best place to start would be to use the characteristics of living things that we spoke about yesterday. So in those boxes underneath the topic box, I'm going to list some of the characteristics of life that I think oak trees demonstrate. So the first thing I'm going to write is grow and develop, because I happen to have seen an acorn sprout before. So I know that an oak tree can grow and change from an acorn to a tree. So I'm going to write grow and develop as my main idea here, but I know to provide some evidence on the lines below that box. So I'm going to write that acorns sprout into oak trees, and that oak trees get bigger. In fact, they're some of the largest trees in the eastern hardwood forests. That's an observation, so I'm going to note that at the top here as well, and you'll see why in a moment. But that's something that I have firsthand observed, is trees getting bigger and acorns sprouting into little oak trees. So the next thing, I've noticed that oak trees lose their leaves in the wintertime. Oak trees lose their leaves. And so I'm going to infer that the reason they do that is because they are responding to the change in temperature. So they're responding to their environment. Since they do that every year, you could also make the case that they are also adapted to their environment. Probably could go either way on this point. Another piece of evidence that I've seen is I've examined leaves, like oak trees, under a microscope, and I've seen little boxes in those leaves when I examine them under a microscope. And so I'm inferring that those little boxes are actually cells. So they are made of cells, which is another characteristic of living things that I think oak trees possess. Finally, since I've watched those acorns sprout, maybe I could make a case that acorns become trees. So I'm going to infer that they reproduce. So acorns become trees by seeds, right? So I have a series of evidence now that I've listed in my tower. The next step is to order this information. There are a couple philosophies of this. One is that you want to lead with your best evidence. That will convince the reader that you have a strong argument from the very beginning, and will keep them reading to see what the rest of your argument is. And then you can order your evidence in descending order from most convincing to least convincing. This is the way that journalists write articles, so that if the article would happen to get shortened by an editor, the best evidence is in the beginning of the article. Another option is to use the sandwich method. You start with a piece of strong evidence, you end with a piece of strong evidence, and you place your weaker parts in the middle, so that the reader remembers what happens in the beginning, he or she remembers what happens in the end, and if he forgets what happens in the middle of the paragraph, it's not as critical, because that wasn't your strongest piece of evidence anyway. So therefore, I need to order my supporting details here to make my paragraph the best possible. Well, I'm going to start with grow and develop. I'm going to make that the first piece I mentioned in my article, because I think that it is the strongest piece of evidence, because I've actually observed it myself. Because I've made those first-hand observations, this might be a great piece of evidence to start with. Since the evidence about reproducing is similar, it involves acorns, I think it would be a nice to follow up with that, because it makes a natural segue, and I can kind of visualize in my mind how the sentences would flow from one to the other. The next piece of evidence I think I'm going to put is made of cells. This is probably the evidence that I have the weakest support for, because those boxes could be a lot of different things, and I haven't observed a lot of leaves under microscope, so it's one of my weaker inferences, and so I'm going to put it third. And I'm going to end with this piece responding to the environment, because I think that's pretty obvious that when trees lose their leaves, they're doing something in reaction to the environment, to the climate that's going on, and I think there'd be a nice ending to it. So that inference I think is pretty strong, and I'm going to end with that. So I'm using the sandwich method here. The final thing I need to think about in ordering is a conclusion. So I'm going to put a conclusion sentence in my paragraph. And I'm just really going to restate my supporting details and my main topic. An example of a good conclusion sentence would be, oak trees are alive because they grow and develop, reproduce, are made of cells, and respond to the environment. It's a great way of summarizing what is happening in my paragraph, what I've mentioned, and to remind the reader about what they've read. So in the end, you'll have one sentence for your topic, another sentence for your conclusion, and maybe at least 4 sentences for your supporting details, maybe a few more if you have to explain some of your evidence. So this could be anywhere between 4 to 6 sentences. So this will make a very nice 6 to 8 sentence paragraph. If you're really comfortable with writing, you may want to include also a lead. A lead is a catchy sentence or maybe quip at the beginning of your paragraph that gets the reader's attention. Some teachers will call it a hook because it hooks the reader and makes them want to read. And this technically does not have to be data-based. It could be more creative, even a small joke or something of that nature. A play on words might be a good thing to include if you feel so comfortable doing that. So this is how you can use the tower to organize your writing. And so what I'd like you to do tonight is use this to select one of the items you've observed today, decide the evidence that supports that it is alive, organize your evidence in the writing tower, and then write your paragraph. I'm going to ask that you would type your paragraph and bring it in to class on Monday so that you can pass your paragraph around and share it with your classmates. We'll make some edits. We'll talk about final formatting on Monday, and then you can do the rewrite step on Monday afternoon, Monday evening. All right? I hope you have a good time with this. If you have any questions, you can ask the proctor, who can help you as well. The remaining time in the class you can use to begin your tower and begin organizing your evidence. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you on Monday.